In medieval Europe, kingship was not understood merely as a position of privilege, but as a burden of responsibility shaped by tradition, religion, and expectation. A king was believed to stand at the intersection between the earthly realm and divine order, entrusted with authority not solely for personal rule, but for the preservation of balance within his kingdom. This belief framed nearly every duty associated with the crown and shaped how kings were judged by their subjects and contemporaries alike. The foremost responsibility of a medieval king was the maintenance of order. In a world where centralized institutions were limited and communication slow, the king served as the ultimate source of law and justice. He issued decrees, confirmed charters, and acted as the highest court of appeal. While much of daily justice was administered by local lords, it was understood that their authority flowed downward from the crown. A king who failed to enforce law consistently risked unrest, rebellion, or the gradual erosion of his legitimacy. Closely tied to justice was the duty of protection. Medieval kingdoms were frequently threatened by invasion, internal conflict, or feudal rivalry. The king was expected to lead in war, either personally on the battlefield or through the coordination of nobles and knights bound to him by oath. Military leadership was not optional. It was central to kingship. Victory reinforced authority, while defeat could unravel it. Even in times of peace, kings were responsible for maintaining defenses, securing borders, and ensuring that their realm could respond swiftly to danger. Land and loyalty formed another core obligation of medieval rule. Kings were the ultimate owners of all land within their kingdoms, granting estates to nobles in exchange for service and allegiance. This system required careful management. A king had to reward loyalty without empowering rivals, balance noble ambitions, and mediate disputes over inheritance and territory. The stability of the realm depended on these decisions, and poor judgment could fracture the kingdom from within. Beyond governance and war, kings bore a deeply religious responsibility. The medieval crown was inseparable from the church, and a king was expected to defend the faith, support religious institutions, and uphold moral order. Many were crowned in religious ceremonies that emphasized their sacred role, and failure to maintain favor with the church could carry severe consequences, including excommunication. At the same time, kings often negotiated power with ecclesiastical authorities, navigating a delicate boundary between spiritual and secular rule. Economic stewardship also fell under the king's duties. Although medieval economies were largely agrarian, kings oversaw taxation, coinage, and trade regulations. They collected revenues to fund courts, armies, and public works, while also granting privileges to towns and merchants in exchange for loyalty and financial support. A king who taxed too heavily risked revolt. One who taxed too little weakened his ability to rule. Prosperity, when achieved, strengthened both authority and stability. Equally important was the king's symbolic role. Medieval rulers were expected to embody ideals of wisdom, strength, and fairness. Their actions were observed closely, their reputations carried by word of mouth across villages and courts. Public ceremonies, royal progresses, and acts of mercy or punishment all served to reinforce the image of the crown. Kingship was as much a performance as it was an office, sustained by ritual and perception. Finally, kings carried the responsibility of succession. Ensuring a clear and legitimate heir was essential to preventing civil war and preserving continuity. Dynastic marriages, inheritance laws, and the recognition of heirs were matters of state, not personal choice. A king who failed to secure succession risked plunging his realm into chaos after his death. Taken together, the duties of medieval kings reveal a role defined less by absolute power than by constant negotiation, between force and justice, faith and authority, tradition and necessity. Kings ruled not in isolation, but within a fragile system of obligations and expectations. Their success was measured not only by conquest or wealth, but by their ability to hold a kingdom together in an age where unity was never guaranteed.